Am I doing that?
You're good.
Okay. Geez, that thing is loud. All right, join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. All right. Scott and Diana, are we ready with guests?
Good morning, everyone. This morning's guests, if I could, I will make the announcement, and if I could ask the guests to stand and then be acknowledged. First guest is Lou Lavitan. Lou. Riley Graham. Morning, Riley. Sarah O'Brien. Good morning, Sarah. And Kim Hoagland.
All right, join me in giving our guests a warm welcome. All right, happy 50-50. Congratulations, Crystal. All right, happy dollars. Connor.
We're trying to adjust the volume, but the microphone was not. So, okay. I just want to remind everybody, I have the sign-up sheet up front here for the July 27th crab picnic for the club and family members. We have a bunch signed up. We're trying a Sunday afternoon this year to see if maybe we get a better turnout. And you know, with my husband being home all the time, he's gonna have everything like primo ready to go by the time we get there. But I also was thinking, if there's someone that you have been talking to about membership and maybe they haven't been able to make a meeting here, maybe invite them to the picnic and they can get to know some of our members in a less formal setting.
Thank you. All right, there is a district event coming up. It is Rotary Means Business. It is Wednesday, July 30th from 5 to 7 at Market View Arts at 37 West Philadelphia Street. It's a combination of a cocktail hour, organized networking activities, and other information. So if you're interested, let me know and I can get you the link to sign up or get you signed up. Any other announcements? All right, Scott, I think we're ready for you.
Thank you, Chris. Good morning again, Northeast. When I was asked to put together the Speakers Bureau for July, I canvassed the membership to kind of get a sense of, you know, what subjects, what topics might be of interest. And the month of July, I know we are now in our second week, but you may have already picked up that it's Economic Development Month, the month of July. So in that spirit, this morning, I'm excited to introduce these two guest speakers. The topic is strategic development across York County. York County, for what it's worth, is 911 square miles. And we have a lot going on out in our community. And this morning, we have two guest speakers. One is Sarah O'Brien. Sarah comes to us from the great state of Texas, where she graduated from Stephen F. Austin State University. And Sarah was two-time president of Texas Downtown Association. So she comes with a swath of experience with urban development and so forth. And she has paired up with Kim Hogan. Kim, I have worked with closely on a few projects here in the county, and Kim is a graduate of the Dover Area High School. And Kim
Usually no, I don't. How's everybody doing?
Yeah.
I'm really excited about it. So we'll go ahead and kick it off.
Thanks. Good morning, everybody. I apologize. It's just a summer cold. I was with my nephews for a week and, you know, that's just what happens. But we've done a variation of this presentation several times covering the county and the city, a lot of really cool development activities that are very strategic projects that are happening throughout the county. Very exciting stuff. Pointed at this. Oh. Oh, there we go. There, it's working. Thank you. So to start off, the York County Land Bank Authority is a countywide initiative approved by the county commissioners by ordinance in 2018. Their mission is the remediation of blighted properties. So this is a government entity that works directly with municipalities, nonprofits, for-profit businesses to remediate blighted conditions around the county. Very strategic. It comes with it a $15 recording fee, also approved by ordinance, on every deed and mortgage recorded into the county. This transitions into a demolition grant program. It's been very successful. It's been wildly successful in the last 6 or 7 years that it's been implemented. I've got some statistics on the next slide, but the remediation of blight can be very small and it can be very big. It could be taking down that one strategic property that everybody says, why doesn't anybody do anything about that? There's usually some really hard reason why nobody's done anything. Maybe there's a tank buried underground. Maybe there's asbestos remediation. Maybe somebody owns it and pays the taxes but lives in another state. There's usually some really hard challenge. And this is something that we work through the municipality with to get through that. Then we can use the demolition grant funds to take it down and put something more productive in its place. But since the 7 years of implementation, we've done over 50 projects, leveraging 135 million in economic development throughout the county. So it is wildly impactful. It's kind of like, you know, the small giant that's hiding in the background, like not all heroes wear capes. It's a fantastic program. It's got a great board, all positioned by the county commissioners.
To clarify, the YCEA manages the Land Bank Authority on behalf.
Yes, so there's several different government entities that the York County Economic Alliance manages on behalf of the county, and we're going to cover several of those. The Land Bank Authority is just one of them. They specifically focus on blight. The next one is a Blighted Property Review Committee, which is a completely different entity, also appointed by county commissioners. And they also focus on blight, but they do one thing. They can transition a property through the legal designation process to legally designate it as blight, which opens up the possibility of eminent domain for a municipality. It's just one thing. It's kind of hard to do. It's very different than the other group, but it's a very unique and important tool that doesn't get used very often. But we've had one or two very, very specific instances where someone, a very good example, there's a home, there's a fire, someone collects insurance, they leave the state, they move in with their child, they pay the taxes, and that house sits there in the middle of a neighborhood for the next 20 years and nobody can do anything about it. That municipality doesn't have a property maintenance code. So nobody's breaking any laws, but it's an attractive nuisance. Kids go in there, they do drugs, they set fires. It's really fun and everybody paints graffiti and it's a huge problem. This is a tool that can manage that. Very specific. So it's one of those quiet elephants. Another project that's happening throughout the county is Glen Rock Ruins Hall, the plaza. If anybody's not been there, this is a very, very cool property. It's an old factory that you can see there that has been a shell for a very long time. And it's in a very strategic place within Glen Rock Borough. If you've not been there, you kind of feel like you're trespassing, even though you're not. You have to go down some alleys to find it. Really cool graffiti art. But someone purchased that property several years ago and would like to host community events, concerts, farmers markets, other things. But there's no access to it. There's no access roads, there's no bathrooms. So we've been successful in some grants to update the plaza. So we call it the Glen Rock Plaza. We're working very closely with the borough, the trail town. The rail trail runs right through it. So it's a very, very nice economic development tie-in. We have a lot of through traffic through that borough. It's one of the county's trail towns. So you'll see some activity in the next 2 years. We've been doing site development plans, a master site development plan, working with the borough, trying to update how we can work with the different property owners to add some access, better signage, lighting, safety, bathrooms, all those things. Very exciting stuff. So this is what it'll look like before and after. So we're not going to actually change the ruins. We're just going to add accessibility to that spot, to that site. And this is hopefully what it'll look like when it's done. The next is the Yoko Fire. And this is, again, thanks to the York County Commissioners. York County, the commissioners have taken the lead on this project. But this is something that has been ongoing for many, many years, hopefully to have some announcements very soon. This is going to add fiber along the rail trail in the southern part of the county. Whoever built the trail in the seventies had the forethought to put some conduit underneath the trail so we can add the fiber to that. There has been a pause just for waiting on federal guidance, but this will add about 17 million in private capital into these towns and adding this fiber accessibility to the southern part of the county, which does not have it. And then also, again, York County Commissioners are the lead on this, but adding the urban wireless to both York City and Hanover Borough. 1,200 plus units are going to be installed in these two communities. This is ongoing now. This is fully funded. We're working out whole negotiations in both of these communities. They're being installed now, and they hope to be up and running by the end of the calendar year, so we should see some activity then. But this is going to add free urban wireless to both of these communities. Ballpark Commons, this is led by the Industrial Development Authority, again, another government entity led by, managed by the YCEA. This is when you come into the city on George Street, you pass Keystone Kip Space and Central Family Restaurant, you go across the bridge and you see Wellspan Park. There used to be 9 very, very blighted properties that had been vacant for more than a decade, sitting in front of the ballpark. And if anybody remembers, back in 2005, when the stadium was built, we had the York Plan, which was the York Outdoor Recreation Complex, YORC. This was part of that development plan, but there wasn't enough money at the time. So over the last, gosh, now it's been 18 years, they acquired these properties, demolished them with the help of the land bank, and they're now in the process of going through a development plan to put something back in its place. It was promised that when those homes came down, that we would put something back into place that would be productive in the county. It would be back on the tax rolls, it would pay a pilot if it wasn't, if it was still privately held. Pilot is a payment in lieu of taxes. So either way, it would be a productive property back on the tax rolls, contributing to the community. So we're very excited. Right now, it is a grass lot, which is also amazing. It looks really nice, and we had bright nights there over the winter in partnership with Wellspan Park. So either way, it is much more productive than it was before, and we're all very excited about it. It's a big investment in the community. The Industrial Development Authority has a development plan with York Professional Baseball and Royal Square. So stay tuned. Hopefully we'll see some activity in the next year. The Zion Lutheran Church is, if you're not familiar, it's directly behind the Yorktown Hotel. I have a picture on the next slide. That church is so cool. I could do a whole presentation just on this church. It's been vacant for 30 years. So thinking back to when the Yorktown Hotel development got started, this hotel had been vacant for 20 years, 22 years. And the county commissioners said, if you're gonna put this much investment into the hotel, please do something about the church. So that's what we're gonna do. We did gain control of the church in 2017, and it's been on hold. So we need some money. We always need some money. If anybody's got a couple extra $1 million, I could put it to good use. But there's always a way, and when there's a will, there's a way. So we've been working through, we've been, writing small grants, and we've been doing some studies. It has good bones and it can be saved. And we've always thought that this would be a really great supplemental event space to the Yorktown Hotel. We want to make sure that it's available to the community, open to the public, but also a viable space. It's beautiful. I just love this church so much. So we do see this as part of the Yorktown campus. We were recently successful in obtaining a $500,000 grant from Main Street Matters, a $150,000 grant from the Land Bank Authority, and we are writing grants to fill that gap, but we anticipate having the stabilization phase happen this year into next year, which would be roof replacement, some masonry repointing and stabilization of the building, and some design and engineering to tee up that final phase of how are we going to add accessibility and how are we going to add all the utilities that we need, how to make it a private space. Okay, this one's really fun. The Yorktown Hotel has some commercial spaces on the street level, which I'm sure you're all familiar with if you remember. Most recently, it was Off-Center Grill 10 years ago. We would love to see that be a restaurant space again. The last couple of years, we tried to attract a third-party tenant, which it's just not going to happen. There's so many reasons why. Having a third-party tenant would be wonderful, but it is a privately held by the York County government hotel. So it's a nonprofit hotel. The hotel operations is a separate thing, which I could do a whole presentation just on that. But bringing in a third-party tenant means they have to do the fit out and they have to have their own liquor license, and it's just too cost prohibitive. if we write some grants and figure out how to do it internally, we could fit it out, use the hotel's kitchen, use the hotel's liquor license, and the hotel could run the restaurant. So that's what we would like to do. So we are currently fundraising for that, and writing grants and doing other things. But it's much more cost prohibitive to get something into that space if we do it ourselves. So what we would like to see, we keep envisioning a steakhouse, doesn't have to be that, but we want something that lifts up the rest of the city. You know, the city has an amazing selection of restaurants. There's so much they have to offer. So we don't want to duplicate anything that they are. And, you know, we feel a steakhouse would be a great fit. We'll see. Let's hope. But that's what we're aiming towards. And so we have, we're guessing around 2 million in fit out costs, and that's the reduced one. You know, if a third party would come in, it would be more like 3.5. So we're working through that. But the hotel has always supported multiple restaurant spaces. You know, back in the day, there was the off-center grill and the Commonwealth room. There's no reason why we can't do that again. And then there's also the corner space, the Duke Street corner. It is a small 730 square foot space. It would be great for a tourism spot. Grab and go, coffee, ice cream, York-made products, things that support the hotel traffic coming and going, lots of opportunities. So we're always open to suggestions and money. And then Gateway Garden, this is a very small, very cool project. But when you, again, come across the bridge on George Street, right before you get to the ballpark, right before you get to Ballpark Commons, there's this tiny little ugly patch of ground right next to the rail trail that people walk through when they come from Smallsfield into the game, to the ballpark. And that is owned by CSX Railroad, and it's usually full of trash. And we have been working with CSX Railroad to get a lease from them for like 15 years, and we finally got one. And so now we're gonna pay them to clean it up and put some native plants on there and make it pretty. So we're very excited. We also are fully funded. We've got grants from 4 different entities. Marcellus Shale, Open Space Grant, Powder Mill Foundation, York County Community Foundation, and the American Water Foundation. We have an RFP out now for engineering and planting. So you should see something by the end of this year. So again, it's one of those silly things where people drive by and they're like, why doesn't anybody do anything about that? Well, for 15 years, CSX Railroad said, don't touch it. So we're very excited, fully funded. Cadorus Greenway. This is such a huge impactful project. And to be honest, the whole time the Yorktown project was going on, I was coveting this project. Like, oh, I can't wait to get my fingers on this thing. It is so cool for so many reasons, but 1.5-mile stretch that runs through the city, adding in, so updating the levee system to protect us from, you know, big floods, adding in green space, adding in access to the creek, adding in trails, multimodal transportation, connecting all these businesses and cultural amenities into our community, connecting the neighborhoods, so many things. So we've been working on this for 6 years. We are in the final steps of gaining our permit approval. So this is a joint permit approval from the Army Corps of Engineers and DEP, which means once we get that, we can tie up all the design and go out to construction bidding. So we might actually see some real activity in the next year or two. We are currently temporarily on pause, waiting for federal guidance from some of our funding sources, but we're very hopeful that we can have some direction soon and wrap this up and get out to construction bidding. So this is what we would see. You know, right now we have this beautiful, beautiful asset that has fencing and riprap, and you can't walk down and access it. This would lay back the bank, open it up, add access points, and add those trail systems. And then the downtown York Post Office. Again, this is something led by the Redevelopment Authority for the County of York, also managed by the YCEA. This is sold by the federal government in 2012, and we were able to gain control of it. It went through a series of owners who used it for storage and whatnot. Now that we have control of it, we can start to do maybe some design, some engineering, some master site development plans, and figure out what's the best use for the community. We're always open to ideas, but how can we take something and make it into an adaptive reuse, which is a challenge in and of itself. It was built to be a post office. So how can we make that into something productive? So that's what we're trying to figure out. So stay tuned. We have a lot of ideas. And then with this, I'm going to pass it to you and take some water.
You're doing a great job. Let's do the clicker.
So sorry.
Here, I'm gonna hold it anyways. Okay. Awesome. Who's been to Penn Market lately?
Yay, thank you. My mom goes every Friday morning. If you've not been lately, I encourage you to check it out. As you guys know, Penn Market was built 140 something years ago, is in dire need of improvement. So the city's redevelopment authority actually recently got a RACP grant, and they're currently securing funding to fund the remainder of the project. So lots of improvements coming down the pipeline, including hopefully some ventilation and some fans. We know it's a little hot in there right now, but Penn Market is the jewel of WeCo, and we're really excited to see it expand and grow, continue to thrive in the next century. The Citizens Bank property, which is on the square in downtown New York, is also managed by the city's redevelopment authority. It was purchased in 2022. That's right there on the screen. Yep. Purchased in 2022 by a firm from South Carolina. He had lots of goals and dreams and aspirations, was unfortunately affected by the flooding there last fall, and property is now currently on the market. We do have several very interested parties, so we're very hopeful that we'll be able to get that project moving forward. It really is one of the centerpieces to Continental Square. Heritage Crossings, also known as the Northwest Triangle. I think this project started before I graduated high school. It has been a long time coming. I cannot brag on Ryan McKinley with Statewide Partners enough. For those of you that are not familiar, this is located directly across from York Academy. So if you park at the Central Market parking lot on Beaver and Philly and just walk the other way down Beaver, you'll see it right there. They actually started going vertical with steel a couple of weeks ago. It really is going to help transition and kind of finalize that whole development. So when you think of the ballpark and Keystone Kids Space and the York County History Center and that kind of back end of downtown. So we're really, really excited. Ryan is fantastic. We've been working together, got some great interest for first floor tenants for the retail spaces. And he expects to be open next spring. So, and that is just phase 1 of his project, which is now called Heritage Crossing. Phase 2 and 3 will include more residential units and some hopefully unique commercial opportunities for folks as well. The Dentsply campus, everyone knows dental manufacturers, right? This is also an RDA project. We're really excited about this one. It is not as far along as the Northwest Triangle, but it is getting there. And I think it's about a $60 million investment, mixed use spaces with both townhomes and some, I think they've got a biotech company interested, some security corporation that's interested right now, also some storage space. So we're really excited. And as Tim mentioned, the Cadores project, Dentsply, that will go all the way to the Dentsply campus. So the Cadores Greenway Beautification Project, in my mind, is the most transformative project to happen to downtown New York City in our lifetime. The Pewterix Foundry Building over on Philadelphia Street has recently been in the process. The RDA is actually currently holding it for LifePath. They will be launching a capital campaign later this year and hope to renovate that space and move their existing downtown campuses just a little west. Sorry, I'm from Texas. I'm still learning my directions. I apologize. We're really excited about this. It's actually less square footage than what they currently occupy in downtown Newark, but it's going to be laid out so much more effectively that it's going to increase their capacity for overnight stays. But more importantly, it includes an outdoor area so that individuals that are currently experiencing homelessness or need food assistance will be able to do that with a sense of dignity, and they will be not out on Market Street waiting in line to be served. So we're really, really excited about this. Also, the United Way headquarters. United Way does so much great work in our community. A huge shout out to Powder Mill and Rural Square Development for allowing this project to happen, to get them in their own space. Well, they'll be able to have, front street frontage and serve the needs of the community. We're very excited about that. And they're under construction. I think they pulled permits and are starting. The Feuder brothers, and I don't ever think I say that right. Feuder, okay, Feuder, I'm still learning the terminology. Another project by Rural Square Development and Construction. Very excited about this. This project has had some starts and stops over the last few years. You all may remember that they were currently leasing some overnight stays in there, but World Square has taken over that project. There's an exciting restaurant that's gonna be coming on the first floor. Really excited about more outdoor dining on the square right there. And then an invisible key hotel service. So if you guys are doing that, it's much like an Airbnb. So you will not have a typical lobby or concierge desk. It'll all be done electronic. So, the theme is a art hotel concept. I actually sat in on a visiting session about a month ago, to tie in all of the murals, World Square and all with art in downtown. So we're very excited about that. It'll be a great complement to the Yorktown. Grotto Commons and Peel and Company, this is kind of two projects in one. Grotto Commons is a collaborative space for artists, makers, creators. They were previously in the Rupp building on the second and third floor of the French Street Cafe on the square. Recently relocated to the old Rudy Glass building on Philadelphia Street. They are there, they are operating, we're in the midst of planning their ribbon cutting. Don't know the date and time yet, but we'll be sure you guys get an invitation. And as you can see, that tall building, that is where they are located. The building directly to the left is the building that butts up to Gift Horse Brewing on that corner there. And Peel and Company, a real estate development firm, is in the process of closing the transaction on that property, and we'll be going vertical there, adding 21 additional residential units and about 10,000 square feet of commercial space. One of the things you guys have noticed in almost all of the projects that we've talked about in downtown is that residential component and aspect. Our housing study, all of the work and the economic action plan leads to the fact that we need more housing. And we need a diversity of housing stocks in New York City and throughout the county. And so we're really excited about these projects being able to bring those to market. Does anybody know anything about riding? Okay, I had to throw this slide in here. This was not in here the last time we did the presentation. Just so you guys are aware, we have been in conversation with corporate Rite Aid for the last 6 months. Everyone's like, well, bring Minix to downtown. Love that idea. We've met with Minix. They actually presented at Better York yesterday. For those of you that don't know, the pharmacy business has changed drastically over the last 25 years in concert with the healthcare system. And currently, the majority of prescriptions that Minix fills, they don't actually make any money on. So Walgreens, I believe, is closing 2,000 stores this year of their 6,000. And this is a trend that is not going anywhere. Most pharmaceutical sales are going to mail order unless there is some federal legislation that changes the way private benefit management companies interact with pharmaceutical sales. And Darren at Minix, like, mind-boggling. The name of the game is that most of our pharmacies are going to unfortunately be shuttered over the next 15 years unless something changed drastically. But we are so excited about our wonderful partners, Family First Health, located on George Street across from City Hall in Newark. They also presented yesterday at Better York. We'll be having a ribbon cutting August 7th at 1 p.m. To celebrate their launch of their new community pharmacy. They are able to do that because of some specific federal legislation and the way that that community health fund is set up. So we're very excited about that. Rite Aid was a staple for a lot of residents and individuals that live downtown. So B&K Mercantile, who used to be in Penn Market, did the shampoos and conditioners and soap, has actually expanded and just opened last week at 56 North Beaver Street. Is that the right address? Yeah, 56 South Beaver Street, which is at the corner of King and Beaver, for a variety of dry goods and household items. So we have, thankfully, because of our community partners, just entrepreneurial spirited businesses, and then community, Family First Health, and that community health concept have been able to fill that gap. There are also folks that are working on acquiring the buildings. Rite Aid, corporate, strange, unique, majority of their pharmacies, they do not actually own the brick and mortar store, but Rite Aid actually owns the building that it was in on Market Street, as well as the red brick building that butts up to the church courtyard right there. So we are actively working to try to secure those buildings, and the plan for those would be cut 12. More housing. So Kim works on a lot of really big projects. I serve more as a connector and a facilitator to a lot of the development projects that happen downtown. And placemaking is a big part of that. We want to create an environment downtown that is experiential, that is welcoming for everyone, and that is a great place to live and conducive to doing business. So just wanted to highlight Some of our projects that we've done recently, you guys heard a little bit about last fall. We are working alongside the city for the Market Street tree replacement. You guys probably heard about that. We also recently got a $500,000 grant from DCNR to do a tree canopy study downtown and to plant additional new trees. So we're, Bronley is, climbing in trees for the next 18 months to 24 months, but very important, especially as the climate continues to get warmer and all that stuff. Shade is critically important. So I love the picture at the bottom. That is our team, actually, myself, Hannah, and Bronley left here last fall and drove to Lancaster and took that picture. I just made that connection. That is a Portland Loop, which is a portable restroom facility. Public bathrooms are the #1 tourist destination in the world. Been saying that for 25 years, right? Everybody's got to go. And downtown York does not have public restrooms. So we are very thankful to the city of York. They allocated $500,000 in ARPA funding. I have a meeting at 1:30 with York Water and Dave Rudolph to finalize some location details. They have been paid for, they have been ordered, and they are currently being manufactured and will be delivered. We will have a big porta potty party ribbon cutting as soon as they are in, and everybody will know about it. Things like cigarette receptacles we've installed, and then can't brag enough on our ABM Clean and Green team. They've removed over 15,000 pounds. Also, we do a lot to focus on business support and recruitment. Even I was quoted in the newspaper yesterday about, helping our legacy and institutional businesses focus on transitioning as they're aging out and looking to retire and move on to other things. I am most proud of our opening a new business in York City guide that we just unveiled last month. So great. If anyone's ever been through the permitting process, I've worked, across the country, and I've never heard anyone not complain process. But York City seemed to pose a lot of challenges, so we were really excited to launch that. We do documents on trash pickup and property maintenance. Have just recently started marketing vacant and available properties downtown. You'll see more about our Imagine the Possibilities campaign later this fall. Let's see what else put on there. We have a new downtown investment guide that will debut at our fall downtown update. That will be a recruitment piece to attract entrepreneurs we're really excited about. And last year alone, the YCEA was able to grant out $168,000 directly to downtown York businesses through a variety of programming. From our Welcoming Communities grants, our Trailtown Facade Grant programs, our Bloom Business grants, and support loans. Here is just a kind of highlight of some of the total project investment, what we showed you on this slide, and we did not cover it all. There are many more development projects and opportunities in the pipeline.
It's several slides and I can't really put a number to it. So many things that are happening.
Yep.
This shows individual projects that made an investment in the community from each one. Just said, almost 224 million.
Yep.
So it's pretty
Over the last
incredible.
5 years.
Yeah, partners throughout the county and the city, we could be prouder. There's a lot of public-private investment, a lot of very strategic partnerships. A lot of these are decades in coming. So we're very excited.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yep. And
Things you wish you knew?
anything we missed?
Nobody's having a yes, thank you. We have a great team. And I think that's it. We have an amazing team. So I feel very blessed to be here and to work with YCEA, be able to make things happen. So. You think? You too.
I think my father that street guidance on his school business, but he's 99. And he stayed, fought for York City his whole life. And so I can go around.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else?
Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you very much. Don't go too far, ladies. In honor of your presentation, one of these books of your choosing will be given to the library at either Children's Aid Society or the YCEA. And I have a book plate for you. Oh, there's a fight. Okay.
That was
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome. Well, thank you again for your presentation. Okay, Scott, do we have a preview of next week's speaker? Do we have a preview of next week's speaker, Scott? Warning, I'm going to do this to you every week.
Thank you, Chris. Next week, keeping the economic development theme, we will have David Gonzalez. David is the Director of Economic Initiatives for YCEA, and he will be talking about the Economic Action Plan for the next 5 years. And so looking forward to that presentation.
Thank you very much. Being nothing else for the good of the cause, we are adjourned. See you next week.